Good morning, Bucknutters. Welcome to the Bucknuts Morning 5 here on Friday, October 18th, 2024. I am Dave Biddle. I'll be joined by Jonah Booker in just a moment. No predictions on today's show as far as any Ohio State score predictions. Obviously, the Buckeyes with their second and final off week. They'll be back in action, of course, next Saturday here in Columbus against Nebraska, high noon on Fox. Big noon kickoff. So Buckeyes and Nebraska has an interesting game tomorrow in Bloomington. Indiana and Nebraska. Who thought that'd be a sneaky big game in the Big Ten? But here we are. So a lot of stuff that J-Book and I are going to get into. Ryan Day confirmed, this is no surprise, but that Zen Michalski is going to be the starting left tackle, but they do have some other plans just in case, some contingency plans. We'll get into what we think about Zen being the left tackle now with Josh Simmons likely out for the season. They still haven't confirmed that, but it sure sounds like he's out for the season. Maybe there's a scenario where he could get back, in the playoffs or something. I don't know. But I think they have to proceed like he is out for the season. So we'll see how Zen does at left tackle. What are some of their other options there? And then just overall, where are we at with this team? Are we okay, well, yeah, I guess technically they could achieve their goals, but is that realistic? Or do we think, no, that's very realistic that they could achieve their goals? Curious to get what J-Book thinks about that. Spoiler alert, I'm in the latter camp. I still think they have a legit chance to achieve their goals. So we'll get our confidence level of that. I'm looking forward to hearing J-Book's thoughts and all that. I'm also looking forward to telling you guys about our latest sponsor to the show, Cornbread Hemp, and a great deal you guys can get from them. If you're looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give Cornbread Hemp a try. They've created the first ever USDA organic THC gummy that's 100% legal for anyone 21 and over. Anyone 21 and over, it's legal anywhere in the United States. They'll ship it right to you. Cornbread's gummies have 10 milligrams of THC per gummy for just the right dose, perfect for taking the edge off without making you feel anxious or paranoid, like other cannabis edibles. Furthermore, Cornbread does not use any synthetic ingredients at all natural. Again, if you're looking for a healthier way to enjoy a carefree moment, you have to give Cornbread Hemp a try. They've created the first ever USDA organic THC gummy that's 100% legal. And as a special offer for Bucknuts Morning 5 listeners, you can get 30% off your first order. Just visit cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. Use promo code Bucknuts at checkout. Again, that's cornbreadhemp.com/bucknuts. Use code Bucknuts for 30% off your first order. Cheers to a healthier happy hour. All right, and cheers to Jonah Booker. Good to see you on a Friday, my friend, as always.
How are you, my friend?
I'm doing good. Doing really good. I'd be better if we were sitting here talking about Buckeyes being 6-0, not 5-1, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that in a moment. I'm curious to get your confidence level, just where you're at with this team. But I want to start with Zen. Finding our Zen, everything Zen, whatever pun you want to use. We're going with everything Zen. But as Ryan Day said, it's not like lockdown, J-Book, that he's going to be the left tackle the rest of the year, but he is going to get first shot. Played pretty well against Oregon. Struggled a little bit in pass pro, is good in run blocking. Big boy, fourth-year junior. Where are you at? Do you think Zen can hold this job down, or are you not very confident in that?
I think he can hold it down, Dave. What he experienced last Saturday, that right there is being thrown into the fire. And if he was able to come out standing tall, he should be able to hold his own going forward. To me, if you go into that game thrown in out of nowhere and you were able to hold your own, that's nothing but a confidence booster to me, Dave. So 2 weeks to prepare. Now you have that mindset shifting of, okay, I'm the guy now. This is my opportunity. I've been waiting for this moment. Time to step up, Zen. This is your moment to be the guy going forward. So I think he's going to be ready to play. Will he be as good as Josh Simmons? Absolutely not, because you're talking about Josh Simmons was potentially playing at a first round type of level. But can he go in there and hold his own, go punch for people? He's going to make some mistakes, and it's going to stand out. People are going to criticize, but if you're going in there and you're battling and you're fighting and you're doing everything that you can, and it's not just an absolute mudslide at the left tackle position, then he should be good.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen it before with guys that maybe people maybe didn't write off, but certainly, maybe they did write him off. Daryl Baldwin's a good example, I think, in that
Yeah.
2014 national championship team. Now he didn't get the job midway through the year, but he was a fifth-year senior, so he didn't really do anything for 4 years. And it's like, oh, really? Daryl Baldwin's going to be the starting right tackle? Started
Right.
every game that year as a fifth-year senior and played well in the national championship team. So, can Zen be that type of guy? I think he can be. I agree with you. And
I mean,
I
think
might not say that if I didn't see him actually play last week, because we've seen
right.
guys thrown in there like Enoch Vamahi last year, looked like a fish out of water. Didn't look too big for Zen, and that was a big game. All right.
You know the crazy
Good.
thing,
Yeah.
Enoch Vamahi's actually playing really well for Washington.
Maybe he just wasn't. I mean, things happen. I mean, maybe he just.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened with that. I mean, he was a good. Ryan Day flew out to Hawaii himself to recruit him to land
Yeah.
him. I mean, he was a pretty highly rated. He went a 5-star, but he's pretty high 4-star, I believe.
It's pretty crazy because I was watching Enoch against Michigan, and he was doing his thing going up against that Michigan front when they played out there. I was like, okay, but good for him, man. You want to see kids who didn't necessarily get their opportunity and they go somewhere else to play, that they get their moment to shine, and he's taking the most of it. Good for him.
No doubt about it. All right, let's look into this. All right, so contingency plans. If Zen doesn't get the job done, or Zen ends up getting hurt, Austin Seyerveld is an option there. He's looks every bit like a guard, straight out of Central Casting for a guard, but he's already repped at left tackle a little bit because of when they had like half the offensive lineman out with an illness during camp. So Austin is an option over there. I don't know what you think about this. Coach Day said Donovan Jackson's an option. They can move him to left tackle and put Luke Montgomery in at left guard. Let's start with that. I mean, of those, let's say something happened with Zen. Of the contingency plans, which one do you like?
First off, it's unfortunate that they're even in this situation that you're having to talk about contingency plans with nothing but guards that are going to have to play a potential tackle position. So that right there should tell you, hey, you guys probably should go to the portal and at least get 2, maybe 3 tackles at most, just so that you can have some type of depth there. Now, as far as the contingency, I don't know if Austin Cereville. I mean, at this point, Dave, if Austin was locking up the defensive line in practice, and we've seen the defensive line get locked up by everybody else, does that really say anything right now? Because you got a kid who came into practice who didn't play tackle at all, really hold his own against this defensive line. So I think it might have to be a situation to where it might be wise to move Donovan Jackson to that left tackle, because at that point, trust your senior, I guess, and then move your 2 guys who've played guard. Because Austin has played that left guard spot for Donovan Jackson. You kick him out, let Austin move into that position there, and I think that's probably the best option. I know Tegra's a tackle, Dave. That's the other option there. But they've said all along, Dave, that they do not want to move Tegra. I mean, I know they've been asked, hey, if something happens, would you move Tegra? And Ryan Day said, no, we want to keep him there. Now you're kind of at that break glass in case of emergency type of situation. So that may be something that they have to rethink. Like, hey, maybe we will have to move Tegra. As much as we want to keep him at guard, we have zero depth there because he was truly a natural tackle coming out of high school, unlike the other guys.
Yeah, I was surprised that Coach Day. For those who don't, Coach Day had his coaches. His used to be a call-in show. His radio show. It's on 971 The Fan here in Columbus. It's on every radio station that's an Ohio State football radio affiliate every Thursday at noon. So he didn't have any media obligations this week except for that. That's in his contract. So that was one time we've heard from Coach Day this week was yesterday. Yeah, Jonah, I was a little surprised because they've gone out of the way to say we need Tegra just to focus on right guard. He's our starting right guard, focus, boom, 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 And now, yeah, he threw in Tegra's also in the, part of that contingency plan at left tackle. I was kind of surprised to hear that. But yeah, I mean, now this is another byproduct of all these recruiting misses they've had.
Yeah, absolutely. And what's going on with Luke Montgomery? I mean, because he was you look at him and there was a lot of buzz with him. At one point, I believe he was getting some starter reps to see if he can potentially win that one of those battle positions. And then there was some talk of him potentially challenging Fryer for the right tackle position. And you just really haven't heard a lot about Luke Montgomery. I think that's kind of fascinating that that's kind of died down for the most part.
And we finally did kind of yesterday, because when Ryan Day said if we move Donnie to left tackle, the first name out of his mouth was then we could put Luke in at left guard. I'm thinking, well, what's that mean about Austin? Like,
Yeah.
Austin would automatically go to left guard if you put Donovan at left tackle. I don't know. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Luke, not only did he rep at right tackle, he was the right guard, first team right guard throughout spring until the spring game where Carson Hinsman got that start, because they pretty much knew Seth McLaughlin was going to be the center. So it was like Hinsman and Montgomery battling out at right guard, not Tegra. And then boom, it was, I mean, Tegra was in there a little bit, but Montgomery had almost all the first team reps in spring at right guard. And then as a true freshman last year, remember, he even played a lot as the first game against Indiana. He was the sixth offensive lineman as a true freshman in his first ever collegiate game. He played a lot. So I'm with you. That's a little bit of a head scratcher, because they were very high on him entering last year, and then he's kind of been lost in the shuffle. Maybe they'll need Luke Montgomery now, though.
Yeah, it's definitely an odd situation with him, Dave, because you would have thought like, hey, he's right there on the cusp of being that next guy in the rotation just in case. But yeah, I think it is going to either have to be Tegra or Donovan Jackson that has to move out. But fingers crossed that Zen stays healthy and he goes out there and performs at a high level, because it's a long season, a lot of big games coming up, Dave, down the pipeline. And as Urban Meyer said, you can't win this trophy unless you're nasty in the trenches. So they got to figure it out.
Yes, sir. All right, let's get to this. The other part of the headline here: 1 to 10, your confidence level that Ohio State can still achieve its goals. We all know if they win out, they're going to achieve their goals. It'll be like nothing even happened last Saturday night. But last Saturday night did happen. Well, it was 1 point on the road, raucous environment at night against a really good team. I get all that. Still, is this defense all of a sudden going to become a good tackling defense? Is this defense all of a sudden going to not give up big plays? Is Ohio State's offense going to find a vertical passing threat, consistent vertical passing threat? I don't know if those things can be fixed, but I still believe in this team. Your confidence level, Mr. Jonah Booker, 1 through 10, they can still achieve all of their goals.
Yeah, I was definitely a 10 going into the season. I think I take a step back to an 8, Dave. And here's the reason why. I still believe that this team has all of their goals in front of them, and they will learn from this, and they will go out and do what they need to do to handle their business against Penn State. They control their own destiny. Now, the thing that worries me, Dave, is the defense, because I'm highly concerned about, one, the pass rush, two, that Jim Knowles is going to get a critical stop and it's a gotta have it type of moment against equal opponents. I mean, we've talked about it on a pregame show last week, Dave. He is yet to force a punt in the fourth quarter against Michigan, Georgia. I mean, you can have an asterisk next to Missouri, Oregon. So the games that really matter, that championships are going to be won, Jim Knowles has not got to stop on defense. And that's somewhat concerning to me, especially when you're paying $2.2 million for him. You didn't bring him in to beat up on Purdue's and Illinois and Minnesota's and Northwesterns. That's not why you're here. He's here to be able to have this defense playing at a championship level, and two, to be able to get those critical stops when the game is on the line for a championship. And they've yet to do it since he's been here. So at some point, you have to be skeptical that if you're in Happy Valley and it's a tight battle back and forth, will the defense get off the field? They have the personnel to do it. They have the talent to do it, but will they have the scheme or Jim Knowles be able to dial something up? Because when you watch that all 22 tape against Oregon, Dave, I mean, you got defensive ends dropping into coverage. You got linebackers trying to blitz 7 yards deep, which is obviously identifiable. So they were just getting swallowed up. There's zero pressure on the quarterback. I'm very confident in the offense. I think the offense is fine. Obviously, you're going to have a little bit of concerns regarding the offensive line, the left tackle position going forward, but you have confidence that Chip Kelly's going to be able to scheme around that. With the offense that we have, I think they can, put up 30 plus points on anybody in college football right now. The question is will they get a stop when they need it and the game is on the line? That's the biggest question mark. That's why I've backed away from a 10 down to an 8, which
I'm
is
with you.
still pretty good.
See, we weren't going to do predictions on today's show, but I was going to go with an 8 exactly as well. So there you go. Jay Book and I are in lockstep. Yeah, I'm at an 8. I can't get, and I love that most of our listeners here in the live chat are like 9, 10. We'd have 1, 6.
Yeah.
Most of them are in 9, 10. 8 categories, another 6 from TJ on Facebook. I've been trying to keep up with a lot of these, but yeah, I mean, I'm at an 8 as well. All right, Ryan Day. I still believe in Ryan Day. I like Ryan Day. I believe in Ryan Day. And there's the classic glass half full or glass half empty. Is that like, well, come on. I mean, you're going to give Ryan Day all this crap that the Buckeye, yeah, it was bad clock management at the end, but it was also however you feel about the offensive pass interference, however you feel about the Dan Lanning rule is what it'll ever be known, and like everything. I mean, but it was bad. It was bad clock management. But you could be like glass half full, be like, okay, you're Ryan, who are you going to get better? He lost by 1 point on the road. Everything we've been saying about Oregon at night, raucous environment, 1 point on the road, still should have won the game. Glass half full, glass half empty. Okay, that's fine. What about the other 6 games that he's lost against top 5 teams? How about that 1-7 record that he's posted against top 5 teams? And yeah, you could be picking part like, oh, that Fiesta Bowl against Clemson, they got screwed, or the Peach Bowl against Georgia, they got screwed, or whatever you want to look at it. He's 1-7. The old Bill Parcells, you are what your record is.
Yeah.
So where are you at overall? I know you're not like fire Ryan Day right now, but where are you at overall on Ryan Day?
I'm totally opposite of the fire Ryan Day crowd, Dave. I still have faith in him. I'm at a 7.5 with him. As you mentioned, the record is what it is, Dave. When you decide to become a CEO of this program, you hand the play calling off to Chip Kelly. This is your moment to shine. These are the moments that you prepare for, that when you require critical clock management skills as a CEO, you have your thumb on the pulse. There should be zero clock management issues when you're a CEO and you're an offensive guru. That's just totally unacceptable on his part. But at some point, Dave, man, my goodness, like, you have to be able to have the ball bounce your way. And what I mean by that is these wins and these losses are so close that he has to break through. I don't know when that's actually going to be. But yeah, I just think that with Ryan Day, he's so close, but something's just not right. He has to finish. I'm at a 7.5. I'm not out on him. I still think this team has everything in front of them. So I still think that with the coaching staff, the players that they have, they're going to be in the playoffs and they're going to make a run. Did we lose Dave there? We lost Dave. All right. See if Dave you can get back here. Let's look at some of these questions. Yeah, John Garvey said we're driving to put the ducks away and the flags start flying. Yeah, the flags start flying. They've been letting them play the entire game, and then they all of a sudden decided to start calling it tight in the last minute. I thought that was interesting. But you think about it though, the one scenario that we've witnessed with this football program and Ryan Day over several years now, we got the ball, 2-minute drill to win the game, and they just can't finish. You think about the Oregon game. You think about the Michigan game with Kyle McCord, Georgia game with CJ Stroud. You've had three different quarterbacks with the football in your offense hands and an opportunity to win a huge game, and we come up short. So when you look at it, it's always something that happened. Clock management in Georgia, clock management in the Oregon game, the Michigan game. They were driving there, and McCord got hit. So you have to take a step back and say, okay, we need to get better at that critical moment in the fourth quarter. 2 minutes to go in the game. We're down 2, we're down 6. We got to get a touchdown. We got to get a field goal to win the game. We need to rep this thing until we know it like the back of our hand. Clock management, every down and distance, every type of situation. 3 seconds on the clock, 4 seconds on the clock. We need to line up, spike the football to make sure that we can run the kickers out onto the field, or situations. But that's been the biggest Achilles heel with Ryan Day, is not being able to close out when you got the football with 2 minutes to go in the game. Let's see here. Let's get some of these other quotes and questions from the chat here. I don't know what happened to Dave. Sometimes Dave's internet goes out, but he'll hop back in here whenever we get a chance. Nacho Burrito says, out-coached and outplayed, Oregon brought the juice. I think it was a tight battle, back and forth. I mean, you were 1 point away. Think about it. There were 7 lead changes in that game on the road against the number 3 team in the country. So I wouldn't necessarily say they were outplayed when you're going blow for blow like that on the road against a quality opponent like that. Oregon, they made less mistakes. We had the turnover and we lost the penalty battle. I think it was like 7 or 8 penalties for 75 plus yards. The margin of error like that is so thin that you cannot make those mistakes. Now, and I will say this, the biggest thing that I'm so fascinated about, there you go, Dave. The biggest thing that I'm so fascinated about is Ryan Day. Traditionally, if you go back and look at his squads coming out of a bye week, they have kind of looked sloppy coming out of those bye weeks. They look sloppy coming out of this first bye week. But if you look throughout his history, the teams, they usually have a slow start early on. I'm curious to see how this team comes out and performs against Nebraska. Will they start fast with their hairs on fire? Or is it going to be the status quo that we've seen over the last several years where they start slow out the gates?
Thanks for taking the show and running with it, Wes. My power went out just about our internet went out for a while because they're digging. We're getting 2 trees planted right now, and it just is it got zapped on me. So I appreciate that. A few more things, and we'll get you out of here. It's gonna be a fun weekend of college football. What do you make of? I found this interesting. I thought Illinois would be a slight favorite at home over Michigan. Michigan's favored by 3.5 tomorrow at 3:30. And there's bigger games than that, but I love watching my Big Ten games. I think Illinois is going to – I like Illinois plus 350 on the money line. Or not plus 350, plus 150 on the money line.
I'm actually starting to lean towards the other side on this, Dave. I hate to say it, but for some reason, this feels like with Tuttle there getting 2 weeks to prepare with the starters, you're going to see a slightly better Michigan. Here's the thing. Michigan probably had the worst quarterback play in all of college football. All they need is something that's slightly better, and they're going to be a much improved football team because basically you had 10 guys in a box to stop Edwards and Mullins there because they couldn't throw the football. Now that you can't do that and you have to kind of respect Tuttle's arm, then that's going to open up things a little bit for this offense because, the defense, they are what they are. They got Don Brown 2.0 who's going to try to blitz to death, but they still have a lot of talent on the defense. So I'm actually leaning towards Michigan for this game, Dave.
Oh man, I hope you're wrong.
But here's a crazy thing though, Dave. Now we're going to start playing out all types of different scenarios in our mind regarding strength of schedule. Let's say Ohio State loses to Penn State, right? God forbid. Now they're going to need a really good Michigan for that resume, Dave. because you look at the non-conference schedule for the Buckeyes, it was poor this year. So if you lose to Penn State, you lose to Oregon on the road, your top 5 matchups, now you're probably steering down the barrel at a 10-2 Ohio State team.
Yeah.
What's your marquee win at that point?
Indiana, probably.
Indiana.
I do think Iowa will be ranked on Selection Sunday.
Yeah.
So you're right. They won't have a quality win because it'll be like Iowa barely top 25, Indiana presuming they stay in the top 25.
Yeah.
Here's what I will say: if 10-2 Ohio State's sitting there and there are 2 losses, assuming Penn State would be a close loss, let's say they lost by 3. So your 2 losses are 1 point at Oregon, 3 points at Penn State. Both Penn State and Oregon top 5 teams. I think 10-2 Ohio State's definitely getting in. The problem then, as we all know, they're probably getting in as like the 10 seed, somewhere around there. So you're going on the road the first week.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Sorry, go ahead.
You're exactly right. If you're 10-2 and you do squeak into the playoffs, the most likely scenario now is you're going to have to travel down in SEC territory for a game on the road down there, whereas you would have been able to potentially host a home game, if not compete for a bye game in the Big Ten championship. So I just think there's a lot of different scenarios that starts to go into play. That's why we talked about last week, Dave, the margin of error is razor thin right now. Like, you have to beat Penn State. If you beat Penn State, you get that marquee game. Even if you trip up somewhere along the way, you got that marquee win, you could potentially get into the 5 seed. The 5 spot is like that honey spot for the tournament day, because if you're at the 5 spot, you're going to probably go against a group of 5 opponent at home. So that's why it's so important for them to beat Penn State.
I do think OSU will beat Penn State. I think somebody misunderstood what I said there.
Yeah.
Well, I think probably being sarcastic. Dave, when did you start believing in head coach James Franklin?
No, we both think Ohio State's going to beat Penn State. We're just talking about hypothetical situations to where you kind of need Michigan, and I hate to say this, to be a solid win on the resume. If all things go to hell and you're 10-2 and you're trying to say, hey, we should deserve a home game as opposed to going to go play on the road in the SEC in December.
I'm having all kinds of trouble with my connections here. Sorry, guys. All right, J-Book, we'll get you out of here, man. I really appreciate you hanging with me and your knowledge as always. Next week, we'll be giving Nebraska predictions, my friend.
All right. Talk to you later, Dave.
Thanks, J-Book.
Yep.
All right. Thanks to J-Book as always. He is awesome. Thanks to all of you. Hope everyone has a great day. Enjoy just watching college football tomorrow. It's too bad there's not a Buckeye game, and then full slate of Buckeye games the rest of the season. Hopefully we have, let me do the math here. Hopefully we've got 9 more. Hopefully we got 9 more. Or would it be 10 more? It'd be 10 more, wouldn't it? 9 more if they get the bye. Let's see if they be 12-1. Yeah. No, we're going to need 10 more games. We're going to need 10 more games out of this Buckeye team. They're going to finish 15-1 national champs. So there we go. We got 10 more games to get to. Appreciate you guys. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. And if you're still with me, I'm going to let you know about our friends at Joy Mode and a great deal you guys can get. Fellas, whether you're looking to spice up your intimate moments or increase your confidence, Joy Mode makes all natural and science-backed supplements dedicated to helping men perform better across their core functions. All ingredients have been assessed in peer-reviewed journals. All ingredients have been studied and researched in humans. It comes in a palm-sized packet like your favorite electrolyte powder. Excuse me, I'm getting all choked up talking about Joy Mode. It's that good. Simply mix with 6 to 8 ounces of water 45 minutes before activity and watch the magic unfold. Literally. The issue with over-the-counter pills is they contain unregulated chemicals, they suggest unsafe doses, and they include the risk of several other health problems. That's why we partnered with our friends over at Joy Mode, because they are all natural and science-backed. Go to tryjoymode.com/bucknuts and get 20% off with code Bucknuts at checkout. That's 20% off and free shipping with code Bucknuts at tryjoymode.com/bucknuts. Once again, thanks to J-Book. Thanks to all of you. Hope everyone has a great day and a great weekend. Go Bucks.